was first shown in Nazi Germany. In 1948, United Auto Workers President Walter P. Reuther was shot and seriously wounded at his home in Detroit. In 1972, Apollo 16's lunar module carried astronauts John W. Young and Charles M. Duke Jr. landed on the moon. In 1978, a Korean Airlines Boeing 707 crash-landed in northwestern Russia after being fired on by a Soviet interceptor and entering Soviet airspace. 2 passengers were killed. Birthdays. Happy birthday to Paulette McAllister, who celebrates today. In other birthdays today, retired Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens is 98. Actor Leslie Phillips is 94. Actor George Takei is 81. Singer Johnny Tolston is 80. Actor Ryan O'Neal is 77. Bluegrass singer and musician Doyle Lawson, Quicksilver, is 74. Actress Judith O'Dea is 73. Rock musician Craig Frost, Grand Funk, Bob Seger's Silver Bullet Band is 70. Actor Gregory Itzson is 70. Actress Jessica Lange is 69. Actress Veronica Cartwright is 69. Actor Clint Howard is 59. Actor Crispin Glover is 54. Actor Andy Serkis is 54. Actor William DeVry is 50. Country singer Wade Hayes is 49. Actor Shamar Moore is 48. Actress Carmen Electra is 46. Reggae singer Stephen Marley is 46. Rock musician Marty Crandall is 43. Actor Joey Lawrence is 42. Country musician Clay Cook, Zac Brown Band, is 40. Actor Clay Crawford is 40. Actor Tim Joe is 34. And actor Carlos Valdez, TV The Flash, is 29.
Daybreak. Need to know. Fayetteville Beautiful. The Fayetteville Beautiful annual citywide cleanup is Saturday. Residents who want to participate should meet at Cross Street Park on Green Street from 8:30 to 9 a.m. Orange bags, gloves, and bottled water will be provided. Volunteers may sign up at fayettevillebeautiful.com, click on the citywide cleanup map, and select the area they want to clean up. Ribbon Walk and Run. Cape Fear Valley Health Foundation's Ribbon Walk and Run Saturday at Festival Park. Register at www.bit.ly/RW-registration. The event includes a 5K run and walk and a 1-mile route that follows along Linear Park through downtown before heading back to the finish line at Festival Park. Entertainment will be provided in the park throughout the morning. Proceeds benefit cancer-centered patients by providing gas vouchers, medication assistance, free mammograms for the uninsured, wig vouchers, art therapy, yoga, nutritional supplements, emergency funding for house payments for patients in need, and other assistance programs. For more information, call 615-1285. Field of Honor. The 2018 Field of Honor flags are now available for purchase. The annual event features hundreds of flags in front of the Airborne and Special Operations Museum in downtown Fayetteville. The flags honor veterans, living or deceased, and current military members. Flags are available for $25 per honoree. They may be purchased at the museum gift shop. Call 643-2778 or 643-2773. You can also shop online at shop.asomf.org. The opening ceremony for the Field of Honor is scheduled for May 19th at 10 a.m. The flags will stay up through July 7th. Proceeds benefit the Airborne and Special Operations Museum Foundation. For more information, call 643-2778. We want to hear from you. Please submit your events in writing at least 10 days in advance. Email a calendar at fayobserver.com or fax details to 486-3545. For questions, call 486-3545.
From the live wire section, strict, expensive city codes halting development. Question: the corner of Glenford Drive and Cliffdale Road was completely forested last summer. What are the plans for the land now that it has been cleared? It is very unsightly. C.J. Fayetteville. Question: months ago, the pine trees were cut down on the lot at the corner of Glenford and Cliffdale. Since then, yard waste has covered a lot which must be 10 to 15 acres in the center of our shopping district. It's an eyesore. Has the city cited the owner for not cleaning up the waste? SB Fayetteville. Question: Joe Riddle's company had the trees removed along Cliffdale and Glenford roads in September. Apparently, plans changed on what they would do with that property. They left it a mess. Not a good image for a major roadway in Fayetteville. At the very least, they should get in there and clean up the mess. What can be done to make that happen? PM Fayetteville. Answer: Joe Riddle, a Fayetteville developer with Riddle Commercial Properties, said he has no plans whatsoever regarding the tracts of land. I'm not planning on doing anything in Fayetteville until there are some changes in codes, he said. I'm not trying to do work in Fayetteville right now. The codes are too strict, too expensive. I never planned on developing that. I just cut the trees down. Many residents in the area did not want the trees, according to Riddle. He said there is nothing the city can do about it, but added that he plans to have the mounds of debris chipped up. We're going to mulch up those rows of debris, he said, and it should be a lot better. Contact Livewire at 486-3516.
Public Safety, Cumberland County. Arrest: Yvonne Martrell Allen, 17 of the 7500 block of Telefair Drive, was charged Thursday with 2 counts of larceny and 1 count of breaking and entering. Bail was set at $5,000. John Prentice McCollum, 22 of the 100 block of Dresden Avenue in Lumberton, was charged Thursday with common law robbery, receiving or transferring a stolen vehicle, kidnapping, and 2 traffic infractions. Bail was set at $60,000. Kimberly Ann Moore, 33 of the 600 block of Lennon Road in Evergreen, was charged Thursday with 2 counts of trafficking in opium or heroin and 1 count of obtaining property by false pretense. Bail was set at $100,000. Talib Ahmad Abdul Thompson, 20 of the 100 block of South 1st Street in Spring Lake, was charged with assault by strangulation involving domestic violence. Bail will be set this morning by a district court judge. Break-in. Cumberland County was reported on Cumberland Road at 1:26 p.m. Tuesday. Nothing was reported missing.
From the opinion page, the Observer's editorial, a clash of faith and LGBT rights. The United States military does not just protect the country, it is often at the forefront of change. Its core values of sacrifice and service date back to the American Revolution and would seem to place it firmly in the conservative narrative of this land. But throughout history, particularly in the 20th century forward, the military has led the country in progressive cultural change, most notably integrating in the 1950s well before most of the South. Inevitably, the conservative and progressive sides of America's fighting forces sometimes come into conflict. A chaplain on Fort Bragg with Southern Baptist ties could be disciplined because he told a same-sex couple they couldn't participate in a marriage retreat he was leading in February. Major J. Scott Squires was the facilitator for the Strong Bonds retreat sponsored by the 1st Special Warfare Training Group. A sergeant who is unnamed in her complaint wanted to participate with her female spouse. Squires did not allow the couple to participate on grounds that his denomination did not recognize same-sex marriages as the U.S. military does. An investigating officer in a 15-6 investigation has found there is evidence that squires and a chaplain assistant discriminated against the sergeant and has recommended disciplinary measures. A reprimand will affect Squire's 25-year career. He has drawn the support of the senior chaplains representing the U.S. Army Special Operations Command and the U.S. Army John F. Kennedy School. But Matt Thorne, who heads the nonprofit Observer, SLDN, which offers legal services to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender troops, says the other chaplains' support for Squire is misplaced. It is a very thin line for the chaplaincy to walk, Thorne said. We would add that it is a line that the U.S. military likely will not walk. The military, as a federal institution, has made up its mind on gay couples. It accepts them and is required by law to provide them the same legal rights and benefits of heterosexual couples. In a similar dynamic to integration, the military was already beginning to embrace the reality of same-sex marriage before the Supreme Court legalized such unions in 2015. Ending the ban in the remaining states, it still had them. It has been a long journey on this issue for an institution that used to kick out homosexual troops, even after introduction of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. An inadequate and now repealed compromise dated back to the Clinton administration. The military, thanks to federal law and decisions of its commanders, has become more progressive on issues affecting LGBT than many other institutions and most states. For instance, it supports its transgender soldiers, an estimated 1,320 to 6,630 of whom are on active duty, according to very unofficial numbers from a study the Army commissioned in 2016. Other estimates are much higher. How far in advance is the military thinking on the issue? Consider that in 2016 and part of 2017, North Carolina went through the ringer over the General Assembly adopting a bathroom bill intended to prevent transgender people from using the facilities of their choice. The backlash is estimated to have cost the state hundreds of millions of dollars due to a boycott observed by numerous companies, organizations, sports teams, and entertainers before the bill was repealed in 2017. Yet, within the confines of this same state's military bases, such as Fort Bragg and Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune, transgender troops were accepted like any other soldier who took the oath to defend the Constitution against the nation's enemies. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump's attempt to bar transgender troops from service have been blocked by federal courts. Those courts' collective decisions on LGBT issues will prove at least as much of a challenge for chaplain squires as they proved for the commander-in-chief. That's because federal law is clear, and it is the basis for Army policy, which says soldiers can't be denied services based on race, color, national origin, gender, religious affiliation, or sexual orientation. The 15-6 investigator found that squires tried to find another chaplain to do the retreat, which caused the retreat to be rescheduled. That sounds like a compromise, and it's one that Squire supporters think should excuse him. But the compromise still presents a problem for Squires as well as for the Army. The command said the retreat was open to married couples on a specified weekend. It cannot turn around when a certain couple shows up and say, essentially, it's not open to you. We will schedule something for you later. Clearly, it would have been unacceptable to publicize the retreat as for heterosexual couples only. One solution going forward might be to allow only chaplains who can accommodate all legal marriages to lead the marriage retreats. The military can and does accommodate many different ideas and beliefs, religious beliefs among them, but it has been steadily less willing to accommodate any kind of discrimination and should be applauded for that.
Trump's message to Syria is muddled by Jonah Goldberg. President Trump was right to punish Syrian President Bashar Assad with airstrikes on Friday. Some have said that the bombing campaign didn't go far enough, and I'm sympathetic to that argument. Two buildings in the middle of the night are useful targets if you want to demonstrate symbolic disapproval, but the strikes did not do lasting damage to the Assad regime. That was the goal, to make a point. Don't do that again. I am also sympathetic to those who were concerned that the strikes could cause a precipitous escalation, drawing in Iran and, more importantly, Russia. By all accounts, Secretary of Defense James Mattis and his Pentagon comrades won the internal arguments in the administration for erring on the side of symbolism. Ideally, we would have destroyed the aircraft and the personnel that carried out the suspected chemical warfare, but it's hard for me to second-guess someone who has seen so much war and knows the region as well as anybody alive. I'm willing to defer to the generals on this one. I am less deferential when it comes to the arguments used to defend the strikes. Over and over again, we hear that this was a humanitarian effort. Trump has expressed justifiable horror in response to the use of chemical weapons. In announcing the bombings, he laid out the rationale for the attacks: to deter the use and proliferation of chemical weapons and to avert a worsening of the region's current humanitarian catastrophe. The British government was more explicit, stating that the intervention was directed exclusively to averting a humanitarian catastrophe. What catastrophe did they avert? The chemical attack, as far as we know, had already happened. Chemical weapons are a moral horror, and enforcing the near-century-old ban on them can be justified on humanitarian grounds. But when you talk to experts about why we should enforce the ban, the argument quickly turns to real politics. We don't want chemical weapons used on our troops or civilians. This very easily could happen in the United States if we're not smart and if we're not conscious of what's happening. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley said on Fox News Sunday, "Full disclosure, my wife works for Haley." That is wholly legitimate. It's the same logic we use for preventing rogue regimes from developing nuclear weapons. We don't do much of anything to prevent North Korea or Iran from brutalizing their own people. We don't want them to have the ability to threaten our people or our allies. But that argument has little to do with humanitarianism. We haven't told Assad that if he kills his own people by dropping barrel bombs on hospitals, by firing squads, or by blocking humanitarian aid, we will punish the regime. We've said only that if he uses chemical weapons, he will pay a price. Even here, our message is more muddled than it seems. If the National Security Council is to be believed, the Assad regime has used chemical weapons on its own people some 50 times since the Syrian civil war began in 2011. We punished the regime twice. Why those 2 times? Because there was video. After the 2017 chemical attack that elicited the first attack, Trump told the New York Times, "I think it's a disgrace. I think it's an affront to humanity. Inconceivable that somebody could do that." He added, "Those kids were so beautiful. To look at those scenes of those beautiful children being carried out." It was a disgrace. So is all the ongoing slaughter in Syria, including the alleged 48 other times the Assad regime used chemical weapons away from the cameras. The U.S. was right to penalize Assad, but it is not obvious to me that we are sending the Syrian president and his Russian patrons a coherent message. They know they can get away with mass murder if they use conventional weapons, and they know they can get away with using chemical weapons as long as the images never appear on Fox and Friends. Jonah Goldberg is an editor-at-large at National Review Online and a visiting fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. Email him at jonascolumn@aol.com.
Support groups. Adult Children of Alcoholics and Codependency, at noon. Friends and Recovery Group at Snyder Memorial Baptist Church, 701 Westmount Drive, room B1035, telephone 988-6858. Reformers Unanimous Addiction Recovery meet at 7 p.m., 5256 Hummingbird Place, Telephone 910-850-9096. Reformers Unanimous Addictions Program, 7 p.m., West Fayetteville Baptist Church, 2465 Gillis Hill Road. Fellowship and refreshments follow the meeting. Telephone 868-3812. Tia Hart Community Recovery Program, from 7 to 8 p.m., 138 North Main Street in Rayford. Phone numbers 848-81872. In Christ We Do Recover meets from 8 to 9 p.m. at Hope Harbor Christian Mission, US 301 South Service Road. Chemical dependency. Woody, call Woody at 423-0608. Pray and Play Group, 10 a.m., Falcon Park, Falcon. For mothers and children, call 980-1126. Reaching Out Family, 8 to 10 p.m. Intercessory Prayer Group, phone 424-7672. Take Off Pounds Sensibly, 8:30 a.m. Cumberland United Methodist Church, 2262 George Owen Road. Telephone 800-932-8677. Alcoholic Anonymous, 7 a.m. to noon, 5, 8, and 11 p.m. 626 Sandalwood Drive, 8:45 a.m., 521 Hillsborough Street, noon, 5:30 to 7 p.m. 604 German Street, noon, MT 2357, Quartermaster, Fort Bragg, at noon. 1601 Rayford Road at noon. 6:30 p.m. 401 East 1st Street in Lumberton. 6 p.m. 4625 Campground Road. 7 p.m. 111 North Bragg Boulevard, Spring Lake. 7 p.m. Myrova Reese, Women. 613 Quality Road. 7:30 p.m. 3525 Cliffdale Road. 7:30 p.m. 2704 East Broad Street, Elizabethtown. 8 p.m. 1601 Rayford Road for young people. 8 p.m. 4303 Ludgate Street in Lumberton. The hotline numbers 678-8733 or 678-8002.
Letters to the Observer. An unnecessary division. Mark Tegel of Concord, candidate for 8th Congressional District, writes, "This town doesn't feel like two separate congressional districts. You don't hear people talking about everything being different here and there. When we go to work in church, we don't ask our friends if they are District 8 or District 9. And yet Fayetteville has been drawn with surgical precision to be two separate voting blocks. This was purposeful and brutally effected. By cutting us into two parts, our voice was diminished, hushed, silenced. They thought that if they could split us up, they would never have to deal with us. We would just be those people's voices scattered to the wind. And in the last two elections, they were right. While Cumberland votes overwhelmingly Democratic, it sits today as part of two Republican districts. This is wrong. This is unfair. But this year, it doesn't have to be that way. This year, we can rise up and vote on May 8th. We must demand that we do a better job of supporting our teachers so that they can give our students a fighting chance in the classroom. We must do a better job of building an affordable and sustainable healthcare system for everyone within this community. We must do a better job of protecting our air and our water. And we must do a better job of keeping our promises to our service members and their families. We must not allow ourselves to be divided, and we must walk forward together and strive to be better. ElectMark.com.
684 cast ballots on first day. A total of 684 people voted on Thursday, the first day of early voting for the 2018 primary elections. The Cumberland County Board of Elections said on its Facebook page. This compares to 784 voters on the first day in 2014, the most recent comparable non-presidential election year. Early voting for the 2018 primaries started Thursday and concludes on May 4th. Those who don't vote early can then vote on the May 8th election day. Below are the locations and times of early voting. Location: the Cumberland County Board of Elections Office, 227 Fountainhead Lane. Cliffdale Recreation Center, 6404 Cliffdale Road. North Regional Library, 855 MacArthur Road. Hope Mills Recreation Center, 5766 Rockfish Road, Hope Mills. East Regional Library, 4809 Clinton Road. Grays Creek Recreation Center, 2964 School Road, Hope Mills. Early voting hours, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays at the Board of Elections office. 11:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. weekdays at all other locations. 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. April 28th at all locations. 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. May 5th at all locations. May 5th is the last day for early voting. This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the SENCRRS in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, NC 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Robert Bean
and Wilbert. We are proud to serve you today.
Illegal immigrant indicted. An illegal immigrant into Robeson County has been indicted for illegal re-entry after deportation from the United States, according to a release from the Office of the U.S. District Attorney for the Eastern District of North Carolina in Raleigh. Amarino Sanchez Venegas, 27, of Mexico, was arrested in Robeson County in July 2013 for driving while impaired, according to court documents. Immigration officials determined Sanchez was in the country illegally. In December of 2013, Sanchez was deported at Laredo, Texas, but re-entered the country sometime after that. On December 22, 2017, Sanchez was arrested by the Robeson County Sheriff's Office for failing to appear in court. His fingerprints were submitted to federal databases and matched those on file, the document said. Sanchez was released from the Robeson County Detention Center on January 18th after inclement weather prevented immigration and customs enforcement agents were unable to transfer him into their custody, the document said. Sanchez was taken into federal custody earlier this month.
Suspect charged with rape and sexual assault. A Fayetteville man is accused of sexually assaulting a woman earlier this month, according to arrest warrants in the Cumberland County Detention Center. Patrick Edward Johnson, 47, of the 900 block of Rochester Drive, was charged Thursday with 2 counts of first-degree sex offense and 1 count each of first-degree forcible rape, first-degree kidnapping, and misdemeanor sexual battery. The alleged incident happened April 5th, documents said. Johnson, who doesn't have a criminal record in North Carolina, surrendered to Fayetteville police. Bail was set at $150,000.
4 dead, 3 children hurt in shooting. Associated Press, Asheville. A man shot his girlfriend and her 5 children in their North Carolina home, killing the woman and 2 teens before shooting himself, police said Thursday. Asheville Police Chief Tammy Hooper said the shooting happened Wednesday night after Maurice LaRone Garner, 35, got into an argument with his girlfriend at the Asheville hospital where she worked. Officers found 32-year-old Erica Michelle Smith slain and her 15-year-old son and 13-year-old daughter mortally wounded. The others survived. 10-year-old boy who was grazed by a bullet, called 911 around 10:30 p.m. to say that Garner had killed his mother. A 12-year-old child was in stable condition with a leg wound, while an 8-year-old was treated for a graze wound. Their genders weren't immediately released. The chief said Garner's body was found in the car nearby with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He does not appear to have been the father to any of the children. The surviving siblings are being cared for by local advocacy agencies, she said. Any death in our community, especially one involving violence on this scale, has far-reaching traumatic impacts, particularly when they involve children, the chief said. Asheville police hadn't received any prior domestic violence calls to the house, Hooper said, but Smith did approach police about Garner this month. On April 5th, Smith reported that Garner had taken a car. The police determined there was no crime because the vehicle was registered to him.
2 teens charged in Lumberton shooting. Two Lumberton teens have been arrested in the fatal shooting of a 17-year-old left lying on Roberts Avenue on April 14th, police said. Waquan Cornish, 19, of Warwick Mill Road, and Byron Ahar Stevens, 16, of Barker Street, are charged with 1 count each of first-degree murder. They are accused of shooting Keithan Kaleo Lynch of Gow Street in Lumberton. Lynch was taken to Southeastern Regional Medical Center where he later died, a Lumberton police release said. Cornish was arrested about 10:35 p.m. Wednesday at the police department, the release said, and Stevens was arrested Thursday morning, also at the police department. Both are being held without bail in the Robeson County Detention Center.
9 people charged in Lee County drug raid, Sanford. 8 people were arrested Thursday after lawmen from the Lee County Sheriff's Office executed a search of a residence about 4 miles west of NC 87 on the Harnett County line. A 9th person was taken into custody Thursday morning, said Lieutenant Brian Allen of the Narcotics Division. The house on the 4800 block of St. Andrews Church Road, owned by 49-year-old Brian Chad Batts, has been an ongoing sore spot in the community, Allen said. There had been complaints about activity at the house, and on Tuesday, Allen said, lawmen received information that led them to get a search warrant for the house. There was 1 vehicle in the driveway when they arrived, but 8 people were inside, he said. Batts was not home at the time, Allen said, but was later arrested. Narcotics agents seized small amounts of crystal methamphetamine, heroin, and numerous items of drug paraphernalia, Allen said. All those arrested were charged with possession of heroin, possession of methamphetamine, and misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia. In addition to Batts, 6 others had Sanford addresses. Douglas Lamar Walters, 38, of the 5100 block of Joe Matthews Road. Joseph Robert Pierce, 32, of the 800 block of Hollywood Road. Jennifer Ferguson Godfrey, 40, of the 5600 block of Buckhorn Road. Cheryl McNeil Roberts, 48, of the 300 block of Wagon Wheel Lane. Stuart Ellis Thomas, 53, of the 3600 block of Hawkins Avenue, and Sarah Patterson Sloan, 30, of the 300 block of Sheriff Watson Road. The others charged were Joshua Allen Page, 40, of Boats Lane in Spring Lake, Shaquila Eileen Perry, 26, of Independence Way in Cameron. Bail amounts were set at $30,000 for Batts, Walters, and Page, $20,000 for Pierce, $11,000 for Godfrey and Perry, and $10,000 for Roberts, Thomas, and Sloan. Batts, Walters, and Page also were charged with maintaining a drug dwelling.
Fired CEO sues Soka and credit union. The former president of Bragg Mutual Federal Credit Union sued the credit union and its board's chairman, Republican State Representative John Soka of Cumberland County, this month on allegations she was wrongfully and illegally fired due to her age and to punish her for being a whistleblower. Soka, on behalf of the credit union and its board, said Thursday there were valid reasons to fire the president and the case is without merit. He declined to go into detail. The credit union had several weeks to file its formal response to the complaint. The former president is Betty Eileen Donovan, She was Bragg Mutual's president and chief executive officer until she was fired in February. In her complaint, Donovan says she worked at Bragg Mutual for more than 30 years, and the board appointed her to the president and CEO job in November 2015. Now Donovan is seeking damages from the credit union in federal court. The suit alleges Bragg Mutual's board failed to maintain all the corporate records that are required by federal law. Donovan contends Zoka undermined her authority and that the board made decisions for his personal interests. Her suit claims Zoka treated her badly due to her age. She is 64, which would be a violation of anti-discrimination laws. Bragg Mutual's vice president of lending and marketing director secretly recorded conversations Donovan had with him, the suit says, and then he shared these recordings with a board member. Donovan fired the man in January, the suit says, but Zoka reinstated him that same day. Donovan says she then reported Zoka to the National Credit Union Administration, but Bragg Mutual bagged him. On February 15th, the board fired her, the suit says. Zoka told her the board of directors no longer trusted her judgment, the suit says. Donovan alleges Zoka took credit for an upturn in the credit union's fiscal health and operations during her tenure, from deficits to a surplus in 2017, so that he could gain favor with his political constituents. Donovan is seeking back pay, lawyer fees, punitive damages, and other compensation. Zoka on Thursday said he was limited in what he can discuss and instead issued a written statement. The board of directors and current management of Bragg Mutual Federal Credit Union strongly dispute Ms. Donovan's claim and will be vigorously defending the credit union and its members against this lawsuit, Zoka wrote. He said there were legitimate reasons for the board's decision as they relate to Ms. Donovan's employment status, and that he conducted himself at all times appropriately and in keeping with his duties and responsibilities at the credit union.
Black men arrested at Starbucks receive an apology by Baron Haynes Wack, the Associated Press, Philadelphia. Rashawn Nelson initially brushed it off, and Starbucks manager told him he couldn't use the restroom because he wasn't a paying customer. He thought nothing of it when he and his childhood friend and business partner, Dante Robinson, were approached at their table and were asked if they needed help. The 23-year-old entrepreneurs declined, explaining they were just waiting for a business meeting. A few minutes later, they hardly noticed when the police came into the coffee shop until officers started walking in their direction. That's when we knew she called the police on us, Nelson told the Associated Press in the first interview by the two black men since video of their trespassing arrest April 12th just off a furor around the U.S. over racial profiling, or what has been dubbed retail racism or shopping while black. Nelson and Robinson were led away in handcuffs from the shop in the city's well-to-do Rittenhouse Square neighborhood in an incident recorded on a white customer's cell phone. In the weeks since, the men have met with Starbucks' apologetic CEO and have started pushing for lasting change at the coffee shop chain, including new policies on discrimination and ejecting customers. We do want to make sure it doesn't happen to anybody again, Robinson said. What if it wasn't us sitting there? What if it was the kid that didn't know somebody that knew somebody? Do they make it to jail? Do they die? What happens? On Thursday, they also got an apology from Philadelphia Police Commissioner Richard Ross, a black man who at first staunchly defended his officers' handling of the incident. I should have said the officers acted within the scope of the law and not that they didn't do anything wrong, Ross said. Words are very important. At a news conference, a somber Ross said he failed miserably in addressing the arrest. He said that the issue of race is not lost on him and that he shouldn't be the person making things worse. Shame on me if in any way I've done that, he said. He also said the police department did not have a policy for dealing for such situations, but does now, and it will be released soon. Nelson and Robinson said they went to the Starbucks to meet Andrew Yaffe, a white local businessman, over a potential real estate opportunity. 3 officers showed up not long after. Nelson said they weren't questioned, but were told to leave immediately. Nothing showed up as the men were being handcuffed and could be seen in the video demanding an explanation for the officers' actions. Nelson and Robinson did not resist arrest. When you know that you did nothing wrong, how do you really react to it? Nelson said. You can either be ignorant or you can show some type of sophistication and act like you have class. That was the choice we had. It was not their first encounter with police, but neither had they been arrested before, setting them apart from many of those they grew up with in their gritty southwest Philadelphia neighborhood. Nelson and Robinson spent hours in a jail cell and were released after midnight, and the district attorney declined to prosecute them. Nelson said he wondered if he'd make it home alive. Anytime I'm encountered by cops, I can honestly say it's a thought that runs through my mind, Nelson said. You never know what's going to happen. Starbucks said the coffee shop where the arrest occurred has a policy that restrooms are for paying customers only, but the company has no overall policy. The men's attorney, Stuart Cohen, said they were illegally profiled. The arrest prompted protests at the Starbucks and a national boycott. Kevin Johnson, CEO of the Seattle-based company, came to Philadelphia to meet with the men, called the arrest reprehensible, and ordered more than 8,000 Starbucks stores closed on the afternoon of May 29th, so that nearly 175,000 employees can receive training on unconscious bias. Robinson said that he appreciates the public support, but that anger and boycotting Starbucks are not the solution.
420's trip to pot holidays began in California. San Rafael, California. Today is April 20, or 4/20. That's the numerical code for marijuana's high holidays, a homage to pot's enduring appeal and universal slang for smoking. Festivities are planned worldwide, culminating with a synchronized smoke at 4:20 p.m. How the marijuana-loving world came to mark the occasion is believed traceable to 5 Northern California men now in their 60s with bad backs and graying hair. They are the unofficial grandmasters by virtue of the code they created nearly 50 years ago as students at a suburban San Francisco high school in 1971. We thought it was a joke then, said David Reddix, a filmmaker and retired CNN cameraman. We still do. Reddix and his 4 buddies, Steve Caper, Larry Schwartz, Jeff Noel, and Mark Gravich, were a stoner clique who hung out at a particular wall between classes at San Rafael High School. They dubbed themselves the Waldos, a term coined by comedian Buddy Hackett to describe odd people. One fall afternoon in 1971, a non-Waldo classmate came to the wall with an intriguing tale and a crudely drawn map. The map purported to show the location of a marijuana garden in the forest of nearby Point Reyes National Seashore. The classmate said the pot patch belonged to his brother-in-law, a Coast Guard reservist stationed at Point Reyes. The classmate explained his brother-in-law, paranoid of exposure and washing out of the reserves, was renouncing ownership of the garden. He handed Caper the map and said the Waldos were welcome to the marijuana. The 5 excited friends made plans to find the weed after school and decided to meet in front of the school statue of Louis Pasteur at 4:20 p.m. when 2 of them finished football practice. They piled into Caper's 1966 Chevy Impala, popped in a Grateful Dead 8-track tape, and passed around joints as they drove the 45 minutes to the coast. The 5, now firmly middle-class fathers dressed in polo shirts and khaki pants, laugh about tumbling out of a marijuana smoke-filled car when they arrived at their destination. It was straight out of a Cheech and Chong movie, Schwartz said. They didn't find the patch that day, but vowed to keep searching. They would pass in the halls and whisper 420 Louis to each other if a new attempt was planned. indicated they would meet at 4:20 p.m. at the Pasteur statue. The patch was never found. We were probably too stoned, Swartz said. Let's get high. But the 420 Lewis stuck as a code for let's get high at the statue after school. Soon after, it was shortened to simply 420 and meant let's get high anywhere. There were myriad reasons for the teens to speak in code about smoking marijuana in 1971. Marijuana's growing social tolerance was still decades away, and people were receiving stiff prison sentences after being caught with even small amounts. Another big reason, Noah's father was a narcotics agent for the California Department of Justice. He had an inkling we smoked, Noah said, but I don't think he ever caught on to 420. The five Waldos never moved far away and all remained close. Gravage's youngest daughter attends his alma mater, and his oldest daughter is a recent graduate. Both say they've long been aware of their father's involvement in creating 420. The kids here think it's pretty cool, said Julia Gravich, a sophomore. The code remained confined to the Waldos' social circle until they began hanging out backstage at Grateful Dead concerts. Reddick's older brother was friends with band member Phil Lesh, and that led to backstage passes and smoking sessions with the roadies and other crew members who picked up the code. The number really took off in the late 1980s when flyers were circulated at Dead concerts proclaiming 420 to be the password of stoner culture. The flyers went on to explain that 420 was California police code for marijuana smoking in progress. It's not, but that other origin stories continue to circulate to the point that Caper and Reddick have committed themselves to preserving as much proof as they can that they are the originators. They tracked down the Coast Guard reservist to record his recollections, confirming he grew a marijuana garden and drew the map that launched the treasure hunt. With his permission, they obtained his Coast Guard records, which show him stationed at Point Reyes at the appropriate time. They keep those records in a rented safe deposit box in a San Francisco bank, where they also store other documentation, including postmarked letters they exchanged in mid-1970s discussing 420. The San Francisco bank's address, as it happens, is 420 Montgomery Street. The Oxford English Dictionary added 420 to its lexicon last year after reviewing the Waldo's records and credits the men as the creators. Millions of dollars have been made over the years exploiting the number, from t-shirts and hats to cannabis business with 420 in their names. Hotels and tour companies advertise themselves as 420 friendly, and dating sites contain listings for people 420 compatible. Though dozens of 420 related trademarks have been issued to various companies, the Waldos hold only one, but they are starting to cash in, if only a little. Laguino's Brewing Company is nearby. Patuma is set to release its seasonal The Waldo's Special Ale on April 20th. The brewery has given the 5 lifetime passes for free beer. The Waldos also struck their first business deal with the cannabis business. They are endorsing an Oakland company's vaping pen, which of course will be released on Friday at 4:20 p.m. All 5 plan to be at the company's release party and plan to donate proceeds to the Drug Policy Alliance, a non-profit group that lobbies for marijuana legalization. Everyone is cashed in on 420, Noah said. Why not us?
School officials want funds for more resource officers. Cumberland County school officials asked state lawmakers on Thursday to increase funding for school resource officers. School officials also want the state to provide funding based on student needs, to give school systems alternative ways to address the teacher shortage, to restore lottery funding for building projects, and to deal with the bus driver shortage. Lawmakers who represent Cumberland County met with the school board at the school system's central office building. Interim Superintendent Tim Kinlaw said the state pays about $37,900 for each school research officer. The average cost of an officer, including benefits, is more than $64,800, he said. The school system has an officer in each high school and middle school, and one for about every 5 elementary schools, Kinlaw said. The system would need 43 more officers to have one at every school, he said. Kinlaw said the school system has spent about $3 million making the schools safer. Representative Elmer Floyd asked why the school system put a chain link fence around Morganton Road Elementary School. It reminds you of a correctional institution, he said. Floyd said a wooden fence would look better. Kinlaw said the school system wanted to first make sure the school was secure. School officials are now looking at ways to improve the appearance. We've had the discussion that we're making our schools look like prisons, he said. Kinlaw said funds that are provided to low-wealth counties have helped the school system, but more needs to be done to help at-risk students. Cumberland County is 75th in total for pupil funding, but in the top 25 in local funding, Kinlaw said. Representative Billy Richardson asked about a graphic that school officials provided lawmakers that shows that only about half the high school students in the state were college and career ready last year based on their end-of-course exams. Here's what I want to know. Are we preparing these children to have a productive adult life? He said. When I see this, it scares me. Chip Lucas, the school system's executive director for career and technical education, said about 77% of Cumberland County students passed an assessment used by business and industry to determine if a student was ready for an entry-level position. More funding would let the schools provide training that would allow students to earn certifications for potential jobs, he said. Students who aren't prepared for jobs puts a strain on society, Richardson said. We've got to figure out a way to break out of this, he said. Kinlaw asked lawmakers to allow retired teachers to come back to work after retirement. He said fewer college students are studying to become teachers. Teachers who retire can go to work for schools in South Carolina or at private schools, Kinlaw said. There's a job waiting for them somewhere, he said. Representative John Suzuka said he would ask legislative staff members to study the issue. Personally, I think it's a great idea, he said.
School safety. Safer schools, healthier kids. Cooper to seek staff increases in proposal. Hillsborough. Governor Roy Cooper said Thursday he'll soon ask legislators for an additional $130 million so public schools and colleges can make buildings, safety improvements, and for local districts to hire hundreds of additional school-based nurses, psychologists, and police officers. The Democratic governor rolled out a portion of his recommended budget adjustments for the coming year addressing school safety that may find favor with the Republican-controlled General Assembly when lawmakers reconvene next month. They have been debating similar proposals in committees since 17 people died in a Florida school shooting in February. Lately, across the country, there have been too many reminders of what can go wrong, how things can turn dead, Cooper said after meeting with support staff at Cedar Ridge High School in Orange County. Conversations about school safety and gun reform are happening across our country. These conversations have taken on a new urgency. Cooper last month urged lawmakers to pass more restrictive gun laws, including background checks and permits for people looking to buy semi-automatic assault-style rifles. GOP legislators have shown no interest in more gun regulations. Cooper focused Thursday on physical changes as legislators return to adjust the second year of the current 2-year state government spending plan approved last summer. I hope this is an issue where we can agree, Cooper said after the announcement, adding that school systems need funding flexibility after recent legislative actions to restrict how state funds are used. The state spends 40% of its $23 billion budget this fiscal year on the public schools. The governor wants a $65 million reserve created for building improvements at public schools at University of North Carolina and community college system campuses. The money could be used for items like upgrading communication systems and doors to better monitor schools and contain potential intruders. Speakers at legislative committee meetings have highlighted the needs of aging schools with dozens of open entrances or weak classroom doors. Cooper also wants $40 million for at least 500 additional school nurses, psychologists, social workers, and counselors statewide. Groups representing counselors and psychologists say the number of workers in their fields working in schools are below the recommended average statewide. At least 17 of the state's 115 K-12 school districts lack a full-time psychologist this year, according to the Department of Public Instruction data. Every traditional school in the Orange County School District has a full-time nurse. Cedar Ridge nurse Jennifer Pepin talked about instances where having a full-time nurse helped address a student's psychological or physical well-being quickly before it became unmanageable. School nurses, school counselors, and school social workers have been specifically educated to address mental and psychiatric concerns, Pepin said at Cooper's announcement, but we need to be present every day to do that work. Cooper also will ask for another $10 million so districts can hire more school resource officers who are police officers assigned to school campuses. Cooper and some legislators also want more general support for districts in non-urban counties under a matching grant program to hire officers in elementary and middle schools. Cooper said his budget also will contain funds to help a program that aids K-12 schools to create risk management plans and get their floor plans entered into a digital network. And he wants money for more mental health programs for young people, including training programs for teachers and support staff to identify students' mental health issues early. This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the SCNCRRS in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, NC 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Robert
and Wilbur, and we are proud to serve you today.
It is the top of the hour, time for the obituaries. Death notices. The following deaths have been reported. Upcoming editions of the Fayetteville Observer will contain complete obituary information. In Cumberland County, Lavata Snow, 80 of Washington, D.C., formerly of Fayetteville, Wiseman Mortuary. Carolyn K. Tevis, 81 of Fayetteville, Cunningham and Sons Mortuary. Chong-Sung Green, 81 of Fayetteville, Lafayette Funeral Home. In Cumberland County, Monty Sampson Gray, age 85 of 4147 Granford Road, Fayetteville, North Carolina, departed this life on Tuesday, April 17, 2018, in her home. The funeral will be Saturday, April 21st, 2018 at 2 p.m. at Boyles St. Paul's Funeral Home. Burial will follow at Deep Branch Baptist Church Cemetery. The family will receive friends Saturday, April 21st, 2018 from 1 to 2 p.m. at Boyles St. Paul's Funeral Home. Service is entrusted to Boyles St. Paul's Funeral Home. Lieutenant Commander Marvin McMillan, 62, retired, of Fayetteville, died Thursday, April 12, 2018. The funeral will be Saturday at 11 a.m. at Conference B headquarters. Visitation will be at Unity Chapel at Clifton, Friday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. The burial will be at Quantico National Cemetery. Services entrusted to Unity Funeral Services of Fayetteville. Philip Mulhall, 55 of Oak Mills died Monday, April 16, 2018. Celebration of Life will be held at 3 p.m. Sunday, April 22nd, 2018. Pinecrest Funeral and Cremation Services of Oak Mills. The family will receive friends 1 hour prior to the service at the funeral home. In lieu of flowers, the family suggests memorials be made to the American Heart Association, 2711 Breezewood Avenue, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. Condolences may be left at www.pinecrestfuneralservice.com. Claus Petty, 63, passed away at Cape Fear Valley Medical Center on Thursday, April 19, 2018. There will be a celebration of life at the home of Claus and Patricia on Saturday, April 21st, 2018, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Arrangements by Cape Fear Crematory. Carper Haywood McMillan, 73, of Fayetteville, died Sunday, April 15, 2018. The funeral will be held Saturday at 11 a.m. at St. Luke AME Church. The viewing will be at the church Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Burial will be at Sand Hills State Veterans Cemetery Monday, April 23, 2018. Services entrusted to Wiseman Mortuary. Terrence L. McCoy, 38, of Fayetteville, died Sunday, April 15, 2018. The funeral will be held Saturday at 11 a.m. at Faith Covenant Fellowship Family Life Center. The visitation will be at Colvin Funeral Home Chapel Friday from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The burial will be at Northside Cemetery. Services entrusted to Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. Alice Virginia Parker, 78, of Fayetteville, died Friday, April 13, 2018. The funeral will be held Saturday at 1 p.m. at Wiseman Mortuary Chapel. The viewing will be at Wiseman Mortuary Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and the burial will be at Lafayette Memorial Park West. Services entrusted to Wiseman Mortuary. Darian Merle Bradley, 34, of Fayetteville, died Sunday, April 15, 2018. The funeral will be held Saturday at noon at Grace and Truth Church of God. The viewing will be at the church Saturday from 11 a.m. to noon. Burial will be at Rockfish Memorial Park. Services entrusted to Wiseman Mortuary. Eliza Jane Curry, 84, of Fayetteville, died Sunday, April 15, 2018. The funeral will be held Saturday at 10 a.m. at Piney Grove Free Will Baptist Church. The viewing will be at Wiseman Mortuary Friday from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Burial